Please provide the safety and security protocols for today's meeting.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Commissioners. With OUC Safety First, we begin each commission meeting with a short discussion about employer and visitor safety. We have, of course, AEDs, first aid kit, first fire extinguisher, and emergency kits that are located within the building and within this room. The fire extinguishers, the AED are located right in the sound closet. Sean Nell Statham will be the one to initiate emergency response in the event that there's a need for 911. We have identified the gathering point for employees and visitors attending the meeting and the safe egress pathway to reach the gathering point, which would be in the front of the building on 100 West Anderson on the sidewalk outside of the cafe. We encourage no one to use the stairs or to use the stairs and not to use the elevators in an emergency situation. This concludes our safety briefing for this meeting.
Thank you. It is now 2:01, and I would like to call the OUC Budget Workshop to order. And I'd like to acknowledge that we do have quorum for this afternoon. Before we begin, please note if any members of the public are here today to address the Commission regarding today's annual budget workshop. We will provide an opportunity for public comments at the end of the workshop. Please stay until that time if you would like to speak regarding the workshop. Mr. Bullock, I will turn the workshop over to you.
Thank you, President Lehman-Gonzalez. We'll just make a couple opening statements here. I just want to remind the board and any members of the public that the board is not taking any action today, so there's no request for action. This is the public workshop. But just to clarify that there were approvals based on feedback from the board here today would come back at the August board meeting in which the management team would be looking for approval by the commission. But with that, I'm going to ask Chris to come up and to share with us the fiscal year 2027 annual O&M budget and the 5-year capital plan. Certainly with OUC's commitment to providing reliable, affordable, sustainable, and resilient services to our customers. And I will just make one little comment that I am excited, at least on the electric rate side, that we are not requesting any changes to the rates. So I think that is a good news story that I am excited about. The team has worked extremely hard to ensure that rates are not increasing. But with that, I'll turn it over to Chris McKellian, our CFO, to walk through today's workshop. So Chris.
Okay, thank you, Clint. Good afternoon, President Lehman-Gonzalez. Good afternoon, Commissioners and Mayor Dyer. It's really my pleasure to be here today to present the fiscal year 27 annual budget and pricing workshop. As Clint already mentioned, there are no votes today. This is your opportunity to give us questions, have me answer your questions, give us comments, hear from the public. And as Clint mentioned, we will bring back the proposed operating budget, the 5-year capital plan, and proposed rate and pricing changes at the August board meeting. This process really is the culmination of many months worth of hard work from really hundreds of folks across the OUC Commission. So I'll thank them before I wrap up, but I did want you to know this is definitely a team effort here to get to this point. But we believe that we have delivered and put together a budget that continues to provide high quality services to our customers and continue OUC's commitment to reliability, affordability, sustainability, and resiliency. So we start with a slide on our Strategy 2035's 10-year strategic plan. As you know, this was recently adopted. This also was the work of many folks across the OUC Commission. And the reason I'm leading with this is because the budget that's been put together for fiscal year 27 and the 5-year capital plan is in alignment with these strategic initiatives and priorities that we have laid out in the Strategy 2035, also in alignment with our mission, our vision, and of course OUC's core values. The operating budget is prepared using cost recovery principles. Essentially, we are looking to recover our cost of providing service, plus a reasonable return on equity, which is shared with the City of Orlando, and that helps to provide some of the funding for the high-quality municipal services that the City of Orlando provides. Pricing is designed to be fair and equitable. We want to provide customers with bill stability and price signals to promote conservation. We'll talk a little more about that as we go along in this workshop today. The 5-year capital plan is prepared to ensure reliability, affordability, sustainability, and resiliency for all of our services that we provide to our customers and the community. Fiscal year 2027 cost recovery overview, and this is the operating budget here. So we're not talking about capital, we're talking about our annual operating costs for fiscal year 2027. Total recoverable costs are projected to increase 0.2%, so essentially flat from the fiscal year 2026 budget, as you can see in the chart on the right. Proposed recoverable costs, $1.14 billion. Within that flat budget, though, we do have an 8.4% projected decrease in fuel and purchase power expenses, primarily led by reduction in natural gas and coal commodity prices. We have a 5.9% increase in non-fuel operating expenses, and that's primarily our unit department expenses. And then the annual dividend payment to the city, which is driven off of income before contributions. And we have a slight decrease in our net non-operating expenses. I'll go into a little more detail in those categories in the next few slides. Fuel and purchase power, which is about a third of our cost of service within our annual budget, is projected to decrease by 8.4% due to lower projected commodity costs. I'll point out that this is a projection based off of what we believe the price of natural gas and commodity fuel prices was going to be for fiscal year 2026. So we are not saying that we're anticipating a 12.4% reduction off of today's prices, but it's a 12.4% reduction off of the prices that we assumed at this time last year for the current fiscal year 2026 budget. With that projected fuel price decrease, we're looking at a cost per megawatt hour of $39.41, which is in line with the 8.8% decrease for the fiscal year 26 budget. Wanted to note that our clean energy resources for fiscal year 2027 are projected to be 4.3% of total fuel and contribute 18% of energy production. So we continue to build out that clean energy portion of our portfolio as we invest in our clean energy plan. Non-fuel operating expenses, this is primarily unit department expenses. We are seeing an increase in unit department expenses that's been driven in part by market-driven wage increases for employees. We're also seeing increased medical expenses related to employee health care. That's a theme that many employers have been seeing over recent years, and we are no exception to that trend. We've also added headcount, responsibly added headcount in order to begin the process of our strategic initiatives that are in our Strategy 2035 strategic plan. And then that all of those three elements combined resulted in a 7.8% increase in unit department expenses. We have a slight increase in payment to other government and taxes, which is mostly driven by the revenue-based payment to the City of Orlando. And we have a 4.3% increase in depreciation expenses. As we continue to invest in our capital assets, the depreciation expense on an annual basis has continued to climb. Net non-operating expenses. This is essentially the interest expense on OUC's debt offset by interest earnings on investments. That's projected to decrease by 26% from fiscal 26 to 27. We're projecting higher interest earnings. We have larger investable balances that are generating those interest earnings. We're also seeing an increase in other income, and that's been driven by the recognition of the Jetport land sale. If you remember, we sold that land last year, but we decided to defer the gain and recognize it over a number of years. And so fiscal 27 will be the first year that we begin to recognize the gain on the sale of the Jetport land. So that helps us on our income statement by decreasing our net non-operating expenses. Okay, so that was the operating budget. We're going to switch over to the 5-year capital plan, which is focused on the future and is in alignment with our strategic initiatives and priorities. Capital plan is projected to increase almost 12% compared to the 5-year plan that we showed you last year. So the chart on the right shows that the 5-year capital plan is approaching $2.2 billion. We will get into more detail in the following slides, but we do break the capital plan into two components: those projects that are aligned with our strategic initiatives and priorities, and those projects that are aligned with maintaining core services. So I'll go into a little more detail on each of those, but I'll point out that the strategic priorities projects, the projects that are aligned with our strategy and preparation for the future, is now representing 60% of the 5-year capital plan. So that's a very meaningful contribution or funding level for strategically aligned projects to prepare us for success in the future. Within the strategic priorities, we've got $1.3 billion that's allocated to strategic priorities, and you'll see here the categories that we refer to in our Strategy 2035 10-year strategic plan, beginning with reliability and resiliency. 75% of the capital plan is aligned with the reliability and resiliency projects. Some of those projects are transmission system improvements to increase energy transfer capabilities. Two of the larger projects are the 230 kV downtown transmission line, which you've recently been given a presentation at a recent board meeting for, and also transmission improvements in our St. Cloud service territory. Those are two large projects within the 5-year capital plan. On the water side, we're continuing to work on the Summerlin Avenue water main project. So there's funding within the 5-year capital plan to complete that project as well. Under electric and water sustainability, which is one of the other strategic priorities under Strategy 2035, we have almost 18% of the capital plan dedicated to projects that align with that priority, including expanding the grid infrastructure to support future utility scale solar. Also, we have investments within the 5-year capital plan to continue on the path to our clean energy plan, including reducing carbon dioxide emissions by transitioning from coal-fired generation to natural gas, and that's primarily related to Stanton Unit 2. On the water side, we have the Southeast Reverse Osmosis Water Treatment Plant, which is a major source of our future alternative water to supply the needs of our community, and there is funding in the 5-year capital plan for that as well. Additional strategic priorities, partner of choice. This is our customer-focused priority within the 10-year capital plan. We have $90 million, or almost 77% of the capital plan allocated to those projects. That's primarily customer-facing tools and technology, and it's the beginning of our investment in our customer interaction reinvention strategic roadmap, which you've recently received a presentation on customer tools as well. So we are working on implementing that roadmap. Under workforce excellence and operational efficiency, we have $4.4 million, or 0.3% allocated to that. That may seem like a low number, but let me assure you, we are committed to workforce excellence and operational efficiency. It's just that those investments under that priority are not capital items, they're more operating items, so they're funded in the operating budget. You won't see the large percentages under the capital plan related to those two because they're types of investments in our employees and in operational efficiency, at least in the near term, are likely to be operating in nature, less likely to be projects that we can capitalize onto the balance sheet. But those are employee-facing technology transformations. Much of it is around enhancing our safety programs here at OUC, but also we're working on succession planning. We're working on preparing for the workforce of the future. Under operational efficiency, you'll be hearing more from us in the coming months on our plans to streamline OUC operations and make sure that we're able to be successful in the future while keeping costs manageable and freeing up resources to invest in our strategic initiatives that are part of our 10-year strategic plan. Okay. On the core operating side, we have almost 40% of the 5-year capital plan, or $863 million. We have investments in transmission reliability, generation capital improvements, energy delivery reliability. We've got funds on the water side for distribution, R&R, and water production plant upgrades. On the support services side, which is finance and technology, sort of the back of house operations, we've got technology and fleet and facility initiatives funded within this 5-year plan, and then our non-traditional core capital, which includes investments in things like our chilled water infrastructure for serving our chilled water customers. Okay, so factoring in the fiscal year 2027 annual operating cost of service and the depreciation expense related to our 5-year capital plan and our projections for customer sales in the coming year, we can show you our proposed rate changes both for electric and water. Our rate design for utility services, both on electric and water, is guided by long-established cost recovery principles that are meant to ensure that we balance sustainability and reliability while also delivering innovative solutions. That's one of our key missions as OUC, is to deliver innovative solutions to our customers. We focus on rate stability and predictability for our customers. We focus on fairness and equity so that costs of service are fairly allocated among all of our customers. And we want to promote conservation, so we do that through sending price signals that encourage the prudent use of energy and water resources. And we are constantly measuring our rates against our strategic targets. We do that by looking at our peer utilities and what the average customer bill is for customers served by those peer utilities. And we continue to stack up favorably, and I'll show you a chart on that in a minute. As Clint mentioned, there are no electric rate increases proposed for fiscal year 2027. We have no fuel rate increases proposed, and the only thing that we're doing on the non-fuel base rate increase is a reduction in the non-fuel base to offset the additional revenues that we are going to be receiving from the implementation of demand level. So if you remember, demand level is one of the key components of our peak shift program, and that is projected to go live this November. So I do have a slide on demand level. I'll spend a couple extra minutes on this slide because it is something that you will see at the August board meeting. You'll see tariffs related to demand level. You'll see the reduction in the non-fuel energy rate. And so I wanted to make sure that this is something that we cover in a little more detail. So beginning in November 2026, we have a revenue neutral demand level program. So revenue neutral to OUC. It does not result in any additional dollars of revenue to OUC. And the way we do that is we've got demand level charges coming on, which is based on the maximum kilowatt demand within your billing period, and there's 3 tiers, which we've talked about before: $5, $10, $15. In order to make this revenue neutral, though, we have to reduce the non-fuel per kilowatt hour rate, and so that is the change to the base rate that we are proposing for fiscal year 27, and it's related to the implementation of demand level. So demand level, as I mentioned, introduces a reduction in the non-fuel energy and adds a tier-based demand level charge. The average customer using 1,000 kilowatt hours, this is a metric that we show you often, our average residential customer, 1,000 kilowatt hours, would see a decrease in their non-fuel energy charge of $8.48, and then they will see a tier-based demand level charge come onto their bill at either $5, $10, or $15. As you can see in the chart in the lower left, 44% of the time our customers are essentially in tier 1. 45% of the time they're in tier 2, and 11% of the time they're in tier 3. Many customers are only in tier 1 or only in tier 2. Some of our larger energy intensive using customers, maybe they have larger houses, maybe they have 2 HVACs, maybe they have an electric car charger at their house. They may be in tier 3, but our average residential customer is going to bounce between tier 1 and tier 2. And so the average demand level charge over the course of the year, if you got $5, $10, $5, $10, it's going to average out to $8.33 based on the data that we have on our almost 300,000 retail customers. So the bar chart on the right shows you at current rates, our average customer bill is $134. It's made up of 3 components: the green box, non-fuel energy, the customer charge, which is the darker blue, $18.50. That's the customer charge. That's a flat amount every month. And then the fuel charge, $47.67. When demand level goes live, which is the bar chart in the middle, you'll see that the $8.33 orange section of the bar comes in. That's the demand level charge on average. Again, $5, $10, $5, $10 averages to $8.33 over the course of the year. And then the average non-fuel energy will reduce from almost $68 down to $59.35. The total bill at the top, $133.85, 15 cents lower than the average bill today before demand level goes in place. So it's revenue neutral for OUC. For the average residential customer, it's essentially bill neutral, very, very close to being bill neutral. I believe 80% of our customers will see a plus or minus $3 change on the bill, and something like 49-50% of the customers will see a flat, no change on the bill, or a reduction. So it's pretty much bill neutral, and we've already spent time with you as the board in the past to show that, but I wanted you to see it with the updated rates that we are proposing to go live this November. The bar chart on the right is our peer average. Peer average right now is just under $145. So at our average of $134, we are well below our peer average, and we're well below our strategic target, which is to be no more than 105% of the peer average. So you see the footnote at the bottom right there. Strategic target is $152. So at $134, OUC customers, our rates for OUC customers are very competitive compared to our peer utilities. Okay. Okay, let's move on to water. On the water side, we are proposing some water rate changes. The October 2026 fiscal year 2027 proposed retail rate increase promotes conservation. As you can see in the bar chart on the right, the blue sections of the bar chart are the increased fees for the volume-based water charges. So we are not proposing any changes to blocks 1 and 2, which is where the majority of our residential customers are. You'll see a slight increase to block 3 and larger increases on block 4 and block 5. And again, that is to encourage conservation. So the more water you use after certain block points, it gets more expensive. We would like to send price signals to customers to encourage them to conserve their water usage and stay within the lower block sizes. We use an average 10,000 gallon residential bill for comparison purposes. Blocks 1 and 2 get you the first 7,000 gallons. So the first 7,000 of the 10,000 rates are not changing. The remaining 3,000 of the 10,000 are going up from $2.30 per thousand gallons to $2.50, so a slight increase there. Overall, the average residential customer bill is increasing by 60 cents and will be $26.30, well below the peer average of $43.47. So we're competitive with our peer group both on the electric and the water side. We have some changes. Some of the commercial 1-inch meters and irrigation meters, they're in different blocks. But for a commercial customer with 75,000 gallons of water usage, their bill would increase by $15 to $202 per billing period. You will see in the tariff sheets in August changes to our fire protection revenue. We have some of our customers with fire protection systems, sprinkler systems essentially, that are not metered. And because they're not metered, they are charged a monthly fee for having access to the OUC's water system in case of an emergency, a fire event for the fire suppression. And you'll see an increase of 13% there. And that's a cost-based increase, OUC's cost of providing service. The cost of alternative water solutions are also increasing. Again, I mentioned the Southeast Reverse Osmosis plant, but there are other investments in capital needed in order to build out our alternative water source solutions for our customers. And so to support that coming capital investment, effective January of 2027, we're proposing to increase the system development charge by 12.5%. That means that the equivalent residential connection, which is essentially, say, a single-family home, for example, the developer, the builder of a new single-family home, in order to connect to OUC's water system, would pay a system development charge of $2,600 per single-family home. There are similar calculations for apartments and commercial buildings based on the equivalent residential connection, but for a single-family home, it would increase the cost from $2,300 to $2,600. That's a one-time charge to help offset the cost of the capital investment that's needed to serve that new growth. It's very similar to an impact fee that the city or the county might charge to cover costs of serving new customers from new growth. Okay, we have a couple of miscellaneous changes here to present to you. Again, this will be on your August board meeting. Our teams have been looking at the cost to provide service to single-family residential customers. This is primarily in single-family subdivisions. To this point, the cost of providing services to new subdivisions, which are almost entirely underground at this point, that differential between overhead service and underground was essentially negligible. But the cost of providing service for underground customers has now increased to the point where the pad mount transformer, the conduit, the conductors, those costs have increased quite substantially. And so we're recommending that we begin charging single-family residential contribution native construction charges for developers. There are two components of that. One is to cover OUC's costs for off-site equipment, and that we would propose charging on a dollars per kVA. So that is based on the size of the transformer that is serving the customer. And there's a different rate depending on whether OUC installed the duct bank where the conductors run to provide power to that subdivision, or whether the developer installed the duct bank. If the developer installed the duct bank, OUC has less cost to try to recover. So in that situation, it would be $30 per kVA. If OUC installed the duct bank, we have additional costs we have to recover so that new customers pay for that cost, where we would propose $113 per KVA. Those are the same rates that we charge commercial multifamily customers as well. The $30 and $113. The second part of the charge is a per lot fee, and that's to cover the cost of the transformers and the primary cable actually serving that property. So the combined charge between charge 1 and charge 2 could range anywhere from $300 if the developer installed the duct bank to maybe $1,100 if OUC installed the duct bank. So between a $300 and $1,100 charge on a new single-family home construction. Along with this, several years ago, we implemented a refundable fee or deposit in the amount of $650 per single family home. And that was essentially to protect OUC from an instance where a developer of a subdivision says, hey, OUC, I'd like you to build out all of the infrastructure needed to supply my neighborhood. And then something happens with that developer and they don't build the houses. We don't have the customers there that are paying electric bills, and we don't want those stranded assets then to be paid by the rest of our customers. So instead, we required a refundable deposit by the developer, and if the neighborhood built out on schedule, they would get that money back. And to this point, since the implementation of this refundable fee, we have refunded 100% of the revenues collected. So it has worked out really well for us, but because we now have developer payment for a portion of the cost of the equipment, we believe that the $650 refundable deposit is no longer needed to protect OUC customers from stranded assets. So we are proposing to eliminate that $650 fee. So on a cash flow basis, you have $650 that you don't have going out the door, and you have somewhere between $300 and $1,100 that the developer will be paying for this residential contribution native construction. One of the other items we will bring to you in August is an update to our economic development tariffs. We have 2 economic development tariffs that are part of our tariff book. One is for smaller commercial customers and one is for larger commercial customers. We are proposing to merge those 2 into one economic development tariff, give ourselves a little more flexibility as we enter negotiations with future new customers. We don't use these tariffs all that frequently, but there are times where it does help us to have these tariffs in place to be able to participate in community efforts to bring new employers to town. Maybe it's a corporate headquarters, maybe it's a corporate training site. One of the more recent ones is the KPMG Lake House, which in Lake Nona. So those types of community efforts, our economic development tariffs help us to be able to participate in those types of economic development activities. Okay, so factoring in the rate changes that I've just mentioned to you, I can show you what our proposed operating revenues look like for fiscal year 27. Total revenues are projected to be 0.5% higher than the fiscal year 2026 budget. There's a 1.3% decrease in electric revenues, which is driven by lower fuel expenses, and that's offset by customer growth. Because again, demand level is revenue neutral. The change in the revenues for electric is entirely based on fuel costs and customer growth, how the revenues cover fuel expenses and customer growth. We have an 8.5% increase in water revenues based on the conservation focused rate increases I just proposed. And then we do have a 9.4% increase in service fees and chilled water. We have a slide on each of these in detail, but in the interest of time, I think I can skip over the next few slides unless you have questions for me.
I was just curious about the wheeling revenue that is decreasing. Just curious what drives that.
Good question. So as you know, effective January of this year, OUC is now the 100% owner of Stanton Unit 1. The Florida Municipal Power Agency, FMPA, was our co-owner in Stanton 1. The board approved an agreement where ownership of Stanton 1 became fully OUC, under OUC's control and ownership. When FMPA had partial ownership of Stanton 1, the energy, FMPA's portion of the energy that was coming out of Stanton 1 was actually wheeled or transferred through OUC's transmission infrastructure. And so FMPA would pay us to wheel that energy from Stanton 1 out into the grid so that they could serve their retail customers. With Unit 1 now under OUC's ownership, all of the power coming out of Unit 1 would be OUC's energy. We are not going to see those revenues from FMPA for transferring their portion of the energy through OUC's transmission system. Did I get that right, Clint? Went out on a ledge on that one, so yeah.
Good try.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Did I answer? Okay,
Yes.
great. Let's see. We do.
Yeah, I have another
Please.
question.
Just a quick question. You mentioned encouraging conservation when it comes to water, which means educating the community.
Yes.
What would that look like?
It's a great question. We have a lot of customer education initiatives that are run through our Chief Customer Marketing Officer. She's more qualified to give you the details, and maybe we can come back to you at the Audit Finance Committee with a deeper discussion on that. But we do everything from we send notices to customers if there's a leak that's been detected. That's one of the great things about the advanced metering infrastructure, the digital meters, is that we know quickly that there's a leak. In the past, we might not have known there was a leak until the end of the billing period, and you see, oh, there's thousands and thousands of gallons higher than normal usage. But with the digital meters, we can see that in real time, and those customers are alerted that, hey, you may have a potential leak. We also have conservation staff that can go out and do these types of reviews in the home to identify if there's a potential leak, and then work with the customer to connect them with plumbers or, vetted contractors that can help fix the problem. So that's part of it. But we also, as part of Strategy 2035 and our commitment to sustainability efforts to help customers understand the importance of water conservation, the scarcity of water, the higher cost of alternative water sources. So we can talk about it both from an environmental perspective, we can talk about it from an affordability perspective. We have lots of angles to connect with customers on that. And so you'll be hearing much more from us on the customer education piece.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Just last few slides for me. I just wanted to assure you that OUC's financial health is strong, remains strong. The fiscal year 27 operating budget, the capital plan, the proposed rate changes support and are in alignment with OUC's strong AA credit ratings from the three large national credit rating agencies. OUC's ratings are reviewed annually, and they were just reviewed a few weeks ago in conjunction with issuance of the Series 2026A and 2026B bonds, and they were all reaffirmed, which means that there was no change in our strong bond rating, and all three rating agencies have us under a stable outlook, meaning everything looks good for the future. Within their rating reports, they do make some comments about OUC's financial position, and so I just wanted to highlight a few of the comments from the rating report from a couple weeks ago. From Standard & Poor's, they note that their strong rating reflects OUC's healthy financial performance, and they'll believe that commission will maintain that healthy financial performance going forward. From Fitch, they note that OUC's operating risk profile is very strong. It reflects very low operating cost burden, which is great for our commitment to affordability to our customers, and that it's supported by a diverse mix of owned and contracted assets. So they're looking at our generation, transmission, distribution assets that we own. Also the water assets as well. Moody's, several great things to say about OUC. One, the AA2 rating reflects OUC's strong financial performance over the last 3 years, supported by the utility's rate setting autonomy. You, the board, have the rate setting autonomy, which the rating agencies note that is a credit strength in all of their rating reports. They also note that we have ample liquidity. We charge competitive electric rates compared to our peers, and that their stable outlook on OUC reflects their view that we will maintain our ability and willingness to adjust rates as needed to support a continuation of sound financial metrics as it advances carbon transition risk, reduction strategies, and funds various capital improvement projects. So the rating agencies have all given us the thumbs up on our operating and capital plans, our carbon transition plan, our clean energy plan, and they're optimistic about OUC's financial strength going forward. So. Next steps, we will come back to you next month with a request for adoption of the fiscal year 27 operating budget, acceptance of the 5-year capital plan. We will have the tariff sheets to implement the rate changes that I've reviewed today. And in September, customers will begin to be notified of the changes effective October 1st, which is largely our water changes, and then the November 1st changes, which is the demand level charges coming onto the bill and the non-fuel energy charge being reduced effective in November. And then in October, we will start to communicate with builders and developers about the changes to the water system development charges and the electric contribution native construction changes that we have effective on January 1. That is the end of my presentation. I did, before I wrap up, just want to say that, again, this is very much a team effort, many months of hard work and commitment from folks across the commission. I particularly want to say thank you to our budget team under the leadership of Wade Durham and Aaron Bouchard, and our corporate analytics and planning team, which is our rate design team under the leadership of Lawrence Strawn and David Herrick. But there are chiefs and VPs and directors and managers and supervisors and frontline staff across the entire commission that are involved in putting this budget together. And just wanted to say thank you to all of them. It is very much a team effort. We could not have gotten to this point without your cooperation, your assistance, your hard work, and your dedication. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you that helped us get here. So thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Yes, I will. So, commissioners, any comments?
Could I ask a question? And I know this is maybe out of context, a little premature, especially related to a 5-year capital plan, but have we begun to look at Stanton 1 and the costs that we will begin to incur because we are not able to put this in extended storage?
That's a good question. We have been looking at that, obviously, as you would expect us to, in light of the Department of Energy order. I don't have any specific numbers to give you today. The practical answer is that it will ultimately depend on the cost of fuel and many other variables that go into this. We will know, I believe, in hindsight, what the cost was, but I don't know that I can give you a clear answer going forward, a projected cost of the order. I do think we have the opportunity to spend some more time with you at an audit finance committee meeting where we can maybe get into a little more detail on that. So I'd welcome any specific questions you might have. You can we can get to work on maybe giving you some analysis at the next audit finance committee meeting if
Thank
that
you.
works.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions?
I'd like to add to that, Chris's response, Commissioner Gross. At the moment, we're certainly sitting in a situation where it is active until September 1st. So I think your questions would be probably more in line with the current fiscal year. So as it relates to the future, we have not anticipated any changes. We're working under the information we have of September 1. But to your point, we can talk more about it at the audit finance.
Thank you.
I also had one response. If you could go to slide 18 for me, please. Perhaps, Commissioner Williams, maybe this is where your question was going, and maybe I'm wrong, but the second sub-bullet where it talks about for conservation-focused rate increase, that comment is, Chris can correct me if I'm wrong, but it is more specific to the rate side on slide 15. And so that comment, we use the word conservation-related rates because blocks 3, 4, and 5 are going up. The intent of the higher rates should result in conservation. We've seen that over time as we've put higher rates in place. This is another step towards higher rates in an effort and in hopes of reducing overall water consumption. So I believe on slide 18, I think that was the intent of the way we wrote that. And so we can still speak about other programs to your question, but I do think the way we wrote it on slide 18 was more rate-driven, conservation-focused rate increase.
Right. Thanks, Glenn.
So I don't know if that helps any, but we can
All right.
certainly talk about programs. But
That's it. Thank you
that
very
it?
much.
Okay. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
We have now completed the workshop presentation by management. I would like to invite members of the public to address the commission regarding today's annual budget workshop. Mr. Bullock, do we have any requests from the public to speak on the budget workshop?
I'm not aware of any questions related to the budget workshop. I understand we have some questions.
Later.
We'll address.
Yeah, thank you. There are no speakers, so are there any additional comments or questions from the commissioners? No?
No.
Thank you. If there is no further business, is there a motion to adjourn the budget workshop committee?
So moved. Second.
Second. We have a motion from Commissioner Gross. We have a second from Commissioner Williams. And if there is no further discussion, then we will take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The budget meeting is adjourned and the time is 2:39. We will now move on to our regular meeting. All right, Terry Turns will provide the moment of reflection. Thank you, Terry.
Good afternoon, President Lamon Gonzalez, Mayor Dyer, Commissioners, and Clint. As we gather today, I'd like to offer a brief reflection on a milestone our nation has achieved, the 250th anniversary of the United States of America. As a proud Canadian-born American citizen, I'm honored to have the opportunity to stand before you today and provide this moment of reflection. 250 years ago, a group of imperfect but determined people set in motion an extraordinary experiment, the idea that free people could govern themselves, build a nation founded on liberty, opportunity, and the dignity of every individual. Over the centuries, generations of Americans have carried that experiment forward. Farmers and teachers, soldiers and first responders, entrepreneurs and public servants, parents and neighbors, all contributing in their own way to a larger story than themselves. Anniversaries invite us to look forward and backward with gratitude and forward with purpose. They remind us that freedoms, institutions, and communities we enjoy today were not simply inherited. They were built, maintained, strengthened throughout efforts of those who came before us. As we reflect on 250 years of American history, can we also appreciate the remarkable blessings that surround us today? The rivers and lakes, the forests and coastlines, the abundant natural resources, and the communities that call this nation home. We are reminded that stewardship is both a privilege and a responsibility. For those of us engaged in public service, there's a lesson in that history. The strength of a nation is found not only in grand events, but in the quiet work of serving others well. It is found in showing up, doing our jobs with integrity, solving problems, and helping ensure that our communities remain strong and resilient for future generations. As we ponder this historic anniversary, may we remember the sacrifices that made our freedoms possible, appreciate the opportunities we have today, commit ourselves to leaving our communities better than we found them, and may we continue to work together with gratitude for our past, confidence in our future, and a shared dedication to the common good. I hope you have a great meeting and bless your day.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Terry?
Madam President?
Yes.
Terry, before you leave,
Come back.
it's fitting that Terry is here today, and thought I would just take a quick moment to acknowledge Terry and share with the board that she recently received a national recognition through American Public Power Association, which represents over 2,000 public power community members across the U.S. Terry is very involved in representing OUC, and she was recognized for all of her hard work here at the state and here at DC, representing our community, and she received the Harold Kramer John Preston Personal Service Award through APPA. So quite a recognition, and Terry, I just want to say on behalf of the board, thank you for everything you do for OUC, for this community, and for public power as a whole, and for
Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Thank you also for your moment of reflection. I would like to invite Mary Langford to come forward and lead the Pledge of Allegiance. Mary Langford served in the U.S. Air Force for 5 years, achieving the rank of E5. Ms. Langford has worked at OUC for 12 years, and her current title is Manager of Enterprise Cybersecurity Risk and Information Governance. Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And thank you for your service, Ms. Langford. The time is now 2:44, and I call the July 7, 2026 Commission meeting to order. I'd like to acknowledge again that we have quorum present this afternoon. Our next item on the agenda is the consideration of the May 12, 2026 Commission meetings. I will entertain a motion to waive the reading of the Commission meetings and adopt them as published. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? No? Having no further discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Ah, my favorite part, service awards. Mr. Adams, will you please provide the first Employee Service Award?
Thank you, President Lemon Gonzalez, Commissioners, Mr. Mayor Clint. I'd like to call to the front of the room Mr. Ricardo Lizardo. Mr. Ricardo is celebrating 25 years of service with OUC. His 4 children, Esteban, Fabian, Nathan, Eileen, and his wife, Marisol, could not make it today, but he is accompanied by a host of teammates in the rear there. Mr. Ricardo Lizardo started here at OUC as a meter reader 3 in June of 2001. He was promoted to meter reader 2, then meter reader 1, and then promoted to meter service specialist in 2018, which is his current job description. As a meter service specialist, Ricardo completes water AMI orders related to module to meter and module to network communication issues, which involve verifying connections, cable integrity, programming exchanging modules as needed, and validating communication connectivity. He also finds hard to locate meters in the field, and once found, updates the longitude and latitude coordinates in our work order management system. In addition, he cross-trains with water meter technicians and completes meter and meter box exchanges and performs leak investigations. Ricardo is a strong performer and dependable team member. He brings a positive can-do attitude to every task every day. He will always assist anyone in the field and will do anything asked of him within his ability. Ricardo says that every single day he learns something new. He comes to work every day focused on quality and quantity. He says that he is very picky in that way. If it's not right, he says that he doesn't feel good about it. And it's not about the money for him. It's about the reputation of OUC. When he goes to a customer's home, the OUC logo is on the side of his truck, and he says that he wants to make sure the customer feels comfortable and feels good about the service that he is providing. Ricardo loves to hunt, he loves roller skating, and really enjoys and loves attending church with his family. Ricardo, thank you for your commitment and for your 25 years of service. Thank you.
All right. I know we have 2 other service awards. Osani?
Is the red and black team ready to come on up here?
Ready back.
Can I lower this? I'll just do this. Here we go. I'd like to bring up Regina Frazier, her husband Al, her daughter Raina, and her nephew Lowell. Come on up, everybody. Joan. Joan is part of the family's coming up too. Perfect. Joan Anthony as well. How many people knew that Joan and Regina are a little related through marriage? I learned that as part of this process. Okay, this is Regina Frazier's 20-year service award. Her husband Al is here with her daughter Raina, as well as her nephew Lowell, and sister-in-law, no, aunt, Joan Anthony. Let me begin. Okay. Oh, guys, I don't have my glasses.
Uh-oh.
Thank you. No wonder I can't see and I'm ad-libbing. Okay. Regina grew up here in Orlando in Central Florida. And in 2006, she heard about an opportunity in the contact center from her aunt, Joan Anthony. But you weren't her aunt at the time, because Joan is also who's responsible for introducing Al to Regina. Al's uncle is Kevin Anthony, former director at OUC. So it's all connected. Joan also works at OUC now as the manager of business planning. And Lowell also works here at OUC in the water department. You are a water meter technician. But really, Regina, it's really all your hard work that's helped you progress through here at OUC. You have great analytical skills and a willingness to help others that has progressed you through the organization. She first applied to be in the residential customer service area, and guess who interviewed her? Can anybody venture a guess? It's Luz Aviles. Another great hire by Luz. Regina started then in the Pershing Residential Contact Center and rotated through the Gardenia and the Reliable Plaza contact centers. She then worked as an asset recovery specialist in collections, and then she bridged both residential and customer service for a while, and then she found a place in the commercial contact center for 7 years, where she learned a lot about working with builders, contractors, and small businesses while working closely with development services. And then in November of 2021, she moved into the quality control analyst role, and this past February, she was promoted to business process analyst, which she's very excited about. Regina likes to help and mentor others. For example, in the quality role, when she would see an individual repeating the same errors over and over again, she would reach out to them and ask to help them understand the issue, which they appreciated. Additionally, she's really proud of a contact center roadshow she held where she went over the top 10 errors that reps were making, helping them understand how these errors impact their error ratio and therefore their performance. This not only resulted in fewer errors, but again, a deep appreciation for Regina and her care for others. In her new role as a business process analyst, it's another step in quality where she'll be helping us improve our business processes, making them more efficient, less steps, and improving the process along the way. Regina is very active in her church. She sings in the choir and participates in a ministry group that focuses on helping the neglected in our community. They'll collect clothes and pass those on to shelters, provide food, and put together blessing bags with toiletries and other items that are distributed to those in need. She's also very active in the OUC Empowerment Zone. She's one of our little library inventory keepers. And actually by her desk are books and books and books and books. Like, she keeps the inventory there and they keep an eye on it. Regina says what's most important to her, though, is her time with her family. She really enjoys traveling back to the islands to see Al's family or going up to Jacksonville to see her siblings. Regina mentioned several mentors from her time at OUC. They include Charmian Somerville, who's here, Shannon Smith, I believe, who's here, Tashonda Coomson, Terrell Price, I'm sorry, she's here, Terrell Price, Ebony Whitby, no, and most recently Laverne Price, who's out this week. But Regina said that, who?
She's here.
Laverne's here? Oh, hi, Laverne. I thought you were out all week. Okay, hi, Laverne. But Regina said that Linda Fielder, now retired, was her guru, the guru. And, of course, Regina's appreciated as well. I asked her input on this recognition, and she was widely recognized at OUC for your dedication, expertise, and willingness to help others. She consistently goes above and beyond, supporting colleagues and customers with patience. Patience is hard to find sometimes. Positivity and a genuine team spirit. Her knowledge and commitment make her an invaluable resource, and her colleagues deeply appreciate her guidance, kindness, and enthusiasm. Regina, I'm also very grateful for you too. Congratulations on 20 years of service, and I can't wait to see what you're going to do in this business process role. It's going to be great. We're going to have to squeeze together, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Again. You're in red and black too. Did you get the memo? All right. Now, Ms. Aviles.
Thank you. Boy, this is more nerve-wracking than standing on that side, I'll tell you that. So special for employees. Can I ask Carlene Ramirez to please come up? Carlene Santiago. I said that because your dad's here today. Because your dad's here today, right? We gotta honor our parents who got us here. Carlene is celebrating her 20 years here at OUC, and her family is with her. She started at OUC on July 12, 2006, and she is now our Senior Community Engagement Coordinator. She's here today with her husband, Anthony, of 14 years, although they've been together 20. Yes. Her children, Liam, who is 10, and Mila, who is 7, and her parents, Carlos Ramirez and Madeline Vasquez. Thank you for joining us today. So, you guys are standing back here, and I feel like, especially you, Carlene. All right. So, Carlene started at OUC as a UCF student through our co-op program in our Human Resources Department. She worked there for 2 years, and she helped with training, staffing, and benefits. In 2009, though, she transferred over to what was known as our Community Relations Department, now known as Community Engagement, and she's been there ever since, making impact. Carlene has one of those few unique jobs at OUC that gets to engage with our customers, our employees, and our community on a daily basis. All three. It's really cool, the job she has. And she does that in lots of different ways. Her job entails motivating employees to volunteer and give back, educating customers on the various programs and services that we have, and representing who OUC is and what we do in the community. Carlene does it with energy and a truly contagious smile. I love it. Carlene has been in this role for many years and loves knowing that her job makes a difference, that she has a connection to the community and enjoys the exposure and the visibility that the job brings. Carlene leverages her experience to continue to add value and impact. One way she has done this is by leading 6 OUC Cares campaigns, where it's employee giving in partnership with United Way. And she's done this, like I said, for 6 times. She does it with great care. She motivates employees to give, increase their give, and to share their personal stories that we often use in the campaigns. She will be co-leading this year's campaign, kicking off in October. Woo-woo! She's back. She had been on a little hiatus, so we're glad to have her back on this. Another accomplishment for Carlene was launching the Watts Savings Project for Osceola County Public School students last year. This is similar to the watercolor project that we have in partnership with Orange County Public Schools. And in that program, we're teaching water conservation and letting students demonstrate what they learned through art. So instead, last year, she said, let's do this with electricity, right? So we have the Watts Savings Project with Osceola County Public Schools, and the kids get to demonstrate what they learned through their art, and it's been successful now for the 2nd year. So thank you for that bright idea. Carlene loves to stay fit and is one of OUC's well-being champions, and amongst many things she gets to do in that role, she gets to encourage others to make healthy choices, which include taking the stairs, which I do as often as I can, and drinking water. And she really loves it when employees share their healthy habits and accomplishments with her. Even though OUC keeps her very busy, Carlene loves to read, and she spends quality time with her family and is very involved in her kids' activity. Liam is a soccer star, and I heard that Mila is a volleyball star. So when she's not out watching them play and on their events, she is with her family, trying new experiences or on a new family adventure. So Carlene, thank you for 20 incredible years of service. You've really made an impact here at OUC, and we look forward to the next 20. So.
We will now present the employee community recognition. So Ms. Ferroni, would you please present the first item?
Madam President, Commissioners, Mayor Clint, good afternoon. I'm very excited to have a special guest with us today from J.D. Power with some good news. J.D. Power conducts comprehensive evaluations of customer satisfaction for electric and water utilities nationwide. Their findings, I guess we don't have a presentation, right? Just making sure.
Here it is.
No, we don't. J.D. Power their findings on OUC's performance and customer satisfaction and level of trust surveys are key benchmarks highlighted in our Strategy 2035 and OUC's corporate scorecard. OUC's participated in the J.D. Power residential water study, specifically that one, since it began in 2016. So we recently received positive news regarding OUC's performance, and to provide an update, we do have a member of J.D. Power here with us today, John Hazen. He's J.D. Power's managing director. Before he comes up here, though, I do want to say the J.D. Power study and all of the results, it's really a team sport at OUC. They look at 8 different categories. That's what we're evaluated on, which I'm sure John is going to share with you. But really, it is a congratulations to all of OUC, our performance here today. So John leads initiatives to help U.S. utilities improve customer satisfaction and enhance a customer experience across electric, natural gas, and water services. So please welcome today, Mr. John Hazen.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. Nice to be here. So I work with the utilities across the country, but I live 22 minutes away in downtown Winter Garden. So, so it's a joy to be here, and it's very fitting that what we just went through was the team recognition, employee recognition, because as you mentioned, this is really about the whole team. So what we ask customers to rate you on, it's kind of like an ACT, SAT test that high school kids take. So it's the same test for every utility. It's the largest utilities across the country. We surveyed 34,000 folks. We had hundreds of your customers that took the survey as well. So we'll walk you through, and we have some great news as we kind of get through the survey or the comments today. So here's a little overview of the survey itself. So J.D. Power independently asked customers to rate their water utility in this case. We had 34,000 across the country. And the key pieces that we ask about, and you had asked a question earlier about information provided and conservation. That's one of the big pieces that we ask customers. And the good news is if you look at the 8 pieces that we ask customers to rate, information provided, trust, quality and reliability, ease of doing business, cost, people, problem resolution, digital channels, is OUC was either #1 or #2 in the whole country.
Wow.
So an awesome performance, Clint, by your entire team. So congratulations, because this is really a team evaluation. So we've been doing it for 10 years. There's 8 award segments. So we take the country and we kind of divide it across. So there's a Midwest large, a Midwest mid-size, a South large, a South mid-size as well. Over 100 plus questions, 11th year of the study. And as you go to the next slide, OUC was #1 nationally. So here are the top mid-size brands across the country. There's the top large brands. The other thing that I think is amazing with OUC is you had one of the biggest increases nationally. So not only were you one of the top performers a year ago, is that you were one of the ones that improved the most year over year and were the #1 in the country. You can see Boston was at 609, you're at 615. So big gap between your results and other, kind of like I've been watching the World Cup, right? And so if this was World Cup, you might not have been USA, but you're more like Argentina. Argentina just came back and won today. So for some of those that are Messi fans, if you go to the next slide. So here's the large brands for the South. So I put an arrow to where if you click the next piece, you'll see. So there are all the Florida utilities, you know, JEA, Tampa, Miami-Dade, Hillsborough, Pinellas, And there's OUC, a great job. And again, what's really also nice from a JD Power perspective is the team here at OUC get all of your customer data that we collected, but they get everybody else's. So they can look at other top performers across the country. But the good news is you're number one, so congratulations. Next. And with that, I'd like to formally present the trophy to OUC as the number one in the South mid-size, but also what's awesome is number one in the country. So congratulations to the entire team.
Thank you.
Linda, this is our second one? Second one.
Oh, wow.
What do you mean second?
Second time.
God, it feels like we get a lot of awards.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't,
Amazing.
Yeah, it's good. I can't wait to talk to Seattle City Light.
That's amazing. Thank you. Ms. Thompson?
Good afternoon, President Lehman Gonzalez, Mayor Dyer, Commissioners, and Clint. It is my pleasure to share an update on our employee wellness initiatives. And today I will walk you through 3 key areas. First, I'll provide an overview of OUC's wellness programs, our offerings, and how we support employee wellness across every pillar of our organization. Secondly, I'll share some ways we measure success, from engagement of our wellness platform to our growing focus on prevention care. And finally, I will highlight the Best Wellness Employer Award and OUC's strong performance in this year's assessment. So let's start by taking a look at OUC's wellness program and how we empower our employees at every aspect of their career. OUC's wellness strategy continues to support a full spectrum of health that includes financial, physical, emotional, and community involvement. And across these areas, our programs are designed to make participation simple and accessible for all employees. From one-on-one financial advising and preventive focused health plans to free on-site gyms, dedicated coaching through our wellness program, and mental health support through our employee assistance program. Our goal is to ensure every employee has access to the resources they need to thrive. Our wellness program continues to grow with employees, leaders, retirees, and even spouses. They've become very actively involved in the past year. This widespread involvement is what drives our momentum in creating a culture of well-being. Our wellness champions remain at the heart of our program, and they represent every business unit across OUC. They help us build accountability, and they reinforce our workforce environment where well-being is really celebrated by our employees. Now let's transition to how we are examining the metrics of our wellness programs and initiatives, because what gets measured gets achieved. In 2025, we transitioned to a technology-driven platform, which has significantly increased our engagement, and this is through a partnership with WebMD. 67% of our employees have registered within the platform, and of that 67%, 84% has completed their annual health assessment. And this is really important because it walks them through a questionnaire that really helps identify those key areas that they need to focus on to prioritize their health. We also have a points-based wellness incentive program for our employees.
And they earn wellness watts, is what we call them, for completing things like preventive exams and age-appropriate screenings and participating in our wellness challenges. 69% of our participants earned at least 100 watts. They can achieve up to 400 watts. And finally, 54% of our active employees have completed quarterly wellness challenges throughout the year, and those challenges change from quarter to quarter. These strong engagement rates show that our employees are not only invested in the platform, but more importantly in their health. Beyond the platform engagement, we remain focused on what drives the greatest long-term impact, and that is our employees' health. Completing our annual physical exams is a core part of that commitment. Doing so helps employees stay healthier, it helps us reduce high-cost claims, and it aligns our well-being strategy with CDC best practice standards. The graph reflects steady year-over-year performance and improvement in employees completing their annual exams, and in 2025, our employees surpassed Aetna's Book of Business benchmark of 31.8%. Now, this benchmark represents all organizations within Aetna's Book of Business within OUC's geographic area and population demographics. And since 2023, we've seen steady growth in the annual physical exams each year. And I'll also add another note. Within that book of business, that includes about 4,000 self-insured employers. So it's a pretty large size comparison there. The improvement not only demonstrates our education efforts and outreach efforts that they are working because our employees are taking action. I'll now conclude by highlighting our recent recognition by Wellness Workdays program. The Wellness Workday program Best Wellness Employer designation was developed in partnership with experts from Harvard Medical School. And it recognizes organizations that excel in supporting employee well-being. In this year's award cycle, more than 50 organizations submitted applications towards the award, and OUC was one of 9 employers that received gold designation. This marks our 7th consecutive year being recognized at the highest ranking, and the designation provides a research-backed framework that allows us to benchmark our programs nationally and contribute to the broader advancement of corporate health strategies. OUC's participation reflects our dedication to continuous improvement and data-driven decision-making, and further reinforces the intentional ways we invest in our employee well-being. I'm going to spend some time on this slide. It's important. The award measures organizations in 4 major categories: strategy, assessment, implementation, and evaluation. OUC's performance in 2025 shows balanced strength across all categories. Let's start with the chart on the graph on the left, which depicts our performance in 2025. In the assessment category, we achieved 35 out of 35, a perfect score. We demonstrated strong capability in identifying and responding to our employees' wellness needs. On the implementation front, we were just shy of a perfect score, 19 out of 20 total points in this category. And this helps us, highlights how we effectively execute our programs and how well they are serving as a meaningful resource for our employees. On the evaluation front, we achieved a 35 out of 38, and this score reflects how we refine, measure, and evolve our programs over time to ensure that they remain relevant and impactful. And on strategy, this category measures how intentionally we design targeted programs that address employees' wellness needs, and our score here, 35 out of 41, shows strong alignment and thoughtful planning. Our total score increased in 2025 from 115 to 124 for 2026. This was a 9-point gain that reflects overall progress in how we're placing wellness, how we're putting an emphasis on wellness here at OUC. And it places us near the top tier at 134, being the total possible points. Now to the graph on the left shows our year-over-year performance. Assessment increased year-over-year from 86 to 100%, highlighting the strength of our process and how closely they align with our best practice standards. In implementation, we grew 5 percentage points there, reinforcing our programs are being delivered very effectively and are supporting our needs. On the evaluation side, we rose from 84 to 92%, confirming our ability to measure impact and track progress and use that data to inform decisions that continually strengthen our program. And on the strategy front, we held steady at 85%, largely because 2025 was a year of intentional focus of implementing and adopting a new wellness platform and driving the employee onboarding and engagement in that platform. Prioritizing that has laid the foundation for us, and we look forward in Strategy 2035 to preparing and enhancing that wellness KPI for the next fiscal years through fiscal year 27 through 31. Overall, these results show that our wellness strategy is growing both in depth and effectiveness, and we are moving in a right path to really impact this pillar of our overall workforce. Now, looking ahead, we are going to continue to advance our program and continue to focus on the Wellness Index, which will include preventive exams, our focus on expanding financial wellness and resources to our team. We will also enhance resources for employees and their families and promoting responsible healthcare management. Together, these efforts will ensure that we focus on the whole person, making well-being accessible, sustainable, and aligned with our long-term needs of OUC. So with all of this progress, I'm proud to say that OUC continues to be recognized as a best wellness employer. This achievement belongs to our employees. I want to highlight that the Benefits and Wellness team, our team members there, as well as our wellness champions, and you got to see one just a minute ago who's very involved, their commitment really helps strengthen well-being in every part of our organization every single day. So congratulations to the OUC family, and thank you for helping us make OUC a place where people can thrive. I'd now like to ask President Gonzalez and Clint, along with our Benefits and Wellness team, to join us for a photo with the award. You hold it. Oh, okay.
Exciting news. Thank you so much. I will now ask for the OUC in the community recap for third quarter.
Thank you. President Lamon Gonzalez, Commissioners, Mayor, and Clint. I'm here to share with you an overview of the impact that OUC has had in our past third quarter. From a strategic standpoint, all OUC's community investments, from our employees' time to corporate resources and financial support, focus on advancing one of our 4 pillars of community impact, which are environmental stewardship, education, economic development, and social impact.
All year long, our teams engage in hundreds of events and outreach, meetings and programs, and every investment must further one or more of these 4 pillars and needs in our community. And each quarter, I have the privilege to share with you an update on the impact we're making. Today, we're going to focus on activities that span from April to June. If you could please forward the slide. Thank you, Francis. During these 3 months, OUC supported, led, and engaged in 55 events across Orange and Osceola counties and partnered with more than 50 community organizations. Today's video is going to take a look at where OUC engaged in the community, and with so many events to cover in this past quarter, we bucketed the video into 5 types of programs that we engage in. First, employee volunteerism. You'll see 100 OUC employees giving their own sweat equity to 2 different organizations. Community education. In preparation for the summer season, OUC conducted extensive outreach in the community to share affordability solutions, including tips and OUC programs to help save energy and water, how to reduce peaks in the energy demand, easy do-it-yourself fixes and OUC rebates that makes the homes more efficient, and OUC's flexible billing options that help the bills more predictable for customers. There's also community support, where we helped a diverse range of nonprofit organizations further their impact across all of our community pillars. And community activations, as we partnered with Orlando City Soccer to reach thousands of fans with OUC's message of conservation and rebates. And for this, I'd like to thank you, President Lamon Gonzalez, for representing OUC in the on-field activation at the sponsored Orlando City Soccer game, and also to Commissioner Gross and Commissioner Brown for the supportive attendance at OUC's Orlando Pride game. Your engagement at these events really makes it clear to the community that we are committed to them at all levels of the organization. And finally, you'll see that you'll see a section on inspiring youth, as spring is the culmination of 2 of OUC's annual programs with Orange and Osceola Public Schools. These programs engage thousands of students from elementary to high school and their families in promoting environmental responsibility. So with that introduction, let's take a look at the video.
Our work this quarter was guided by our 4 pillars: social impact, education, environmental stewardship, and economic development. These pillars shape every partnership, every event, and every moment of impact.
OUC has been amazing partners, and we're able to get a lot of work done that we would never be able to do without you guys here today.
All of that has to go down to the floor, and with our handful of people, you know what I'm saying, we wouldn't be able to get this stuff down without the volunteer groups that come in to help us out.
kids are hoping to spread the word, as you're watching here through OUC, presenting them with special gifts and special plaques last night.
That is wonderful. I love that.
The soon-to-be high school graduate is part of OUC's free apprenticeship program, a hands-on training course that teaches students things like construction math, workplace safety, and how to use tools on the job.
Here's to the momentum we've sparked and to the meaningful work still to come.
I'm so proud of that. The video reflects the strength of OUC's community partnerships, the passion of our employees, and the commitment of our leadership to support, empower, and advance our local communities. So thank you to our partners, to the volunteers, to our customers, and you commissioners, really for making us, letting us do this meaningful work in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. That's 1/4, folks. That was amazing. Amazing. Thank you. All right, we're going to now go to affirmative items. Mr. Bullock, before we consider the affirmative items, do we have any requests from the public to speak on any affirmative items?
None on the affirmative items.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bullock, do you have comments or presentations regarding the affirmative items at this time?
I have no proactive presentations today for the commissioners, but available for any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
I just have one question out of curiosity. It's A15. It's the HVAC automatic controls I think we're putting in this building. Just out of curiosity, because I know we're very careful about spending and investment and stuff. I was just curious what the payback period might be on this, because I think it's $500,000 for transitioning this whole system over. Sounds like a great idea, but just anyone know
Chris,
what
can you
the
speak to that, please?
payback might be?
Commissioner, we're installing the same building control system in this building as we have in all of our other major buildings. So there's some economies of scale and economies of scope there that are coming into play. I don't specifically know the answer to your question about payback period. I can get that to you and we can talk between now and maybe audit finance committee, but I appreciate the question.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Any other questions or comments on affirmative item? All right, I need a motion, please, to approve.
So moved.
Mayor Dyer, second? Okay, we have a first and a second. If there is no further discussion, we will take a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion passes. All right. Since there is no new business today, we'll move on to presentations. Mr. McCullum, will you present, please, the financial report?
I've been up here all day. Sure. Financial report, I'll just direct you to the bottom line in the interest of time. Net income before contributions is ahead of budget by 11.6%. Retail revenues largely on budget. We are, as I mentioned in previous meetings, we had significant wholesale revenue opportunities during the cold snap in late January and early February. We've deferred those revenues for future use, but long story short, we are in pretty good shape for the fiscal year. This is the 8th month of the fiscal year. Fiscal year starts in October, so through May, we are in good shape. Indications for June, we're still closing the books for June, but revenues for June look in line with budget, and I'll come back to you at your next board meeting with an update with fiscal year to date through June. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now turn for legal issues. Mr. Woody, do you have any legal issues to report? Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, general appearances. Mr. Bullock, do we have any members of the public that have requested to address the board?
Yes, we do. We believe we have 3, and you should have those cards.
Okay, thank you. Before we start, I'd like to remind all members of the public that you must state your name and address and whether you are an OUC customer. You should limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. The commissioners may direct questions to our officers or staff to address now, or, if appropriate, by contacting you with a response to your question once we have verified the facts. I'd like to call upon the first speaker, which is Jason Thornton II, please.
Good afternoon.
My name is Jason Thornton, and I live at 5542 Donnelly Circle, and I am not an OUC customer. I'm here today representing Jen Cleo. I have been to many OUC board meetings this year fighting to shut down Stanton Coal Plant 1. Last month I came and was told that by mid-June this coal plant would not be producing any energy. I do understand now that the circumstances are different and were put upon OUC by the Department of Energy, but one thing that could be done to combat these unforeseen circumstances is producing more renewable energy. Every single day that OUC does not expand towards a renewable future is a day that's wasted towards fixing climate change and the sustainability crisis that we have going on in Florida. What is OUC doing to combat this continued production of coal? Is there going to be a change in the way you produce energy elsewhere to make up for production of these harmful gases? I have had conversations with many about the retention ponds that are being used towards, but I believe that there are more opportunities to have such a massive sustainability-driven utility commission to start combating the U.S. government and their unfair verdicts. They keep putting on Orlando. If we say that we are investing in renewable energy, we need to do more. I'm realistic and understand not everything can be changed to renewables overnight. But at this pace, are we truly ever going to reach our goals? I mean, the price of coal has jumped from $33.51 in 2021 to an astounding $57 in 2025. These rates affect customers. This is not fair for the U.S. government to keep overreaching. OUC has the opportunity to be a cultivator with renewable energy and set the stage for other cities inside of the state of Florida. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Any comments? No? Thank you so much. The second one is Eliezer Rosado.
Thank you to the board and good afternoon. My name is Eliza Rosado. I live in 6441 Camellia Garden Drive, Orlando, Florida 32822. And I'm a student at the University of Miami, but I grew up here in Orlando and I come back during the hottest time of the year. I'm here today with Jen Cleo. I'm sure you've seen it in the community video. And given everything with the prevalent climate crisis and the impositions made on our city by the Department of Energy, it is so important that now more than ever, we utilize renewable energy resources as much as possible. I understand the ordinance that was made by the DOE, but I ask that you shut down Stanton 1 as soon as it lifts. We have the opportunity to become the vanguards of this shift and set the precedence for the state of Florida and to our neighbors. Florida having a blue economy is entirely dependent on its core asset, its environment. Switching to renewables will keep our waters clean, the air breathable, and for our friends around the world, bearable. We already have solutions in place which have been proven to be cost efficient. For reducing energy demands, we have ground source, geothermal systems, as well as solar energy, which keeps power flowing when people need it most. And there are also emerging technologies like advanced battery storage and vehicle-to-grid, which aid in reducing carbon emissions. On an economic standpoint, there are lower long-term energy costs and it opens up skilled and local jobs for our communities. Not to mention, this is an untapped resource, and if this is what it takes, we should be capitalizing on renewable energy. It is imperative that we strive for clean energy, for the future of the earth and for future generations to come. New technologies continue to rise, and so should clean energy. Thank you for your time, and I implore you to take action.
Thank you for your comments. Isabella Raosco, am I pronouncing that correctly, Isabella? Please educate. Thank you.
Hi, thank you to the board. My name is Isabella Rauseo, and I live in 2750 Mint Drive, and I'm not an OUC customer. I'm a high school student here representing Jen Cleo today, and we recognize that OUC has put one foot forward towards fixing the sustainability crisis, and we do recognize that. The reason we are here is not to accuse anyone, but moreover to advocate for the possibilities that Orlando has within renewable energy. We have very ambitious goals of cutting CO2 emissions 50% by 2030. Is this attainable with the level of work we're doing right now? How is this being OUC towards the future? Programs that are being put into place, such as new energy, are vital to achieving this goal. But that means that OUC has to invest more and more to completely cut our emissions by 50%. OUC does not own any of the land that they use for solar, so how can we plan for a lengthy future if we're using it for the short term? We are working on borrowed land, which makes expansion even more difficult and keeps cutting down the likelihood of net zero. We do believe that adding a significant amount of more solar and shutting down Stanton Coal Plant would be putting a more significant step forward. We need more renewable energy in the Orlando area, and OUC has shown to work towards a more renewable future. Now, let's do everything we can to undoubtedly make these goals a reality. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your comments. We will now move forward with the general manager's comments.
Thank you, President Lama Gonzalez. I do have to share with the board. I would like to start first, related to the directive from the U.S. Department of Energy regarding the Stanton Energy Center. On June 1st, the DOE issued an emergency order under Section 202C of the Federal Power Act directing OUC to ensure Stanton Unit 1 remains available to operate through September 1, 2026. That is a 90-day requirement. As a result of that federal directive, OUC will not be able to place Stanton Unit 1 into extended cold shutdown as we had planned. I want to be clear, this was not a request OUC made to the DOE. However, we are required to comply with the order, and we will continue to do so as with all applicable federal requirements. Stanton Unit 1 will remain available for operation through September 1, 2026. I would also like to note that just last week, on July 2nd, OUC received notice of a motion to intervene and request for rehearing and stay filed with the Department of Energy by 3 organizations jointly. Those organizations are Environmental Defense Fund, Florida Rising, and Sierra Club. Now, the motion to intervene does not change OUC's requirement to comply with the DOE executive order. We will continue to monitor the administrative and judicial proceedings and will keep the board updated. So I did want to give that update to the board. If there's no questions, I'll move on to one other item. Wanted to share with the board as we move into summertime, into hurricane season, especially for a couple of our newer commissioners that certainly have been local and are aware of hurricanes, but now that you're at this table and a part of the OUC team, hurricane season certainly means things look a little different, no doubt. But I wanted to just mention a couple of things as we are on our second month of 2026 hurricane season and talk about the momentum that we have made as we have prepared for this. Certainly one of the foundational items as we talk about readiness is operating under the National Incident Management System, or NIMS, which provides clear and tested command structure during emergencies. This is a framework that we've employed for well over 15 years. We use it certainly during hurricanes. We've used it during COVID and pandemic response. And it really ensures that OUC and the employees understand their role during these types of situations. In the months leading into hurricane season, our teams have conducted a full review of what we call our emergency operations guide. So the teams review them certainly on an annual basis. They reassess storm roles, they practice on-hand exercises, and they evaluate lessons learned from previous events, because we all know that no hurricane is exactly the same. And we want to make sure that we continue to learn from each and every one of them. I want to remind the commissioners that we have gone through our annual hurricane tabletop drill. Each spring, we go through a drill. We bring a consultant in to test us and challenge us. There's probably only a couple people in the organization that know the scenario, and I'm not one of them. And we rally a team of leaders specific to the incident command structure, and we go through this process. It's a day-long exercise, and let me assure you, they test us, they challenge us, they throw a lot of variables. They don't just throw one, they throw multiple variables, and then we walk away with some lesson learned opportunities. So we've done that. In April, you recall that I updated you that we hosted the Florida Electric Power Coordination Group at one of our facilities. That group represents all the investor-owned co-ops and munis in the state. And actually, years ago, when I was in operations, I helped develop this group because, philosophically, I felt strongly that the state is only as good as the last utility that comes back online, as we are all representing the entire state of Florida. So it is important that we share and talk about lessons learned. So a variety of things that were discussed this past were mutual aid, resource staging, flooding protocols, wildfire programs, long-term planning, et cetera. So a critical piece. And certainly demonstrating our leadership with hosting that. On the operational side, I assure you the field teams have prepared and are evaluating equipment and tools. The technicians are testing critical pieces of equipment. We're working with our supply chain team to make sure we increase our inventory as we go into summer hurricane season, especially as it relates to overhead infrastructure, which is more exposed, so poles, transformers, those kind of things from an overhead standpoint, along with ongoing continuous maintenance that we look at, wood poles, et cetera, throughout the year. Equally important, we prepare our employees because an effective storm response depends on the teams, our employees, that are both informed and personally ready. So we continue to make sure that they're doing home preparedness tips to make sure that they have their family in order. That's the only way we know that the employees can ensure their families are safe while they work for our community and prepare, as well as reviewing storm response roles on an annual basis. For our customers, we continue to provide ongoing education to make sure they're prepared early and stay informed during the storm as well as after. So we use things like our online storm center, including outage text alerts, real-time updates via interactive outage maps, storm videos, as well as other tools to help customers request down trees, down power lines, et cetera. Encourage them to use the myouc.com. And really the most important thing is they have their contact information updated, especially their mobile phone, because that is the means in which it's best to communicate. So as hurricanes, as we know, we're seeing them more frequently and more impactful, but it is important that OUC stays steadfast. And I just want to assure you that we continue to focus on restoring safely, making sure our employees are safe and the community is safe. That is, priority number one. But trying to do it in a timely manner as we restore and effectively to keep our customers informed every step of the way. So through year-round training and discipline and planning, statewide coordination, and strong communications both internally and externally, I'm here to say that OUC is ready and geared up for whatever the storm season will throw at us. So those are my two items, and that's all I had. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm now going to ask for comments. I'm going to start with Commissioner Brown. Any comments on the meeting, Commissioner?
Thanks to Chris McCullion and his team for the budget presentation. They were able to answer a lot of questions that I threw at them last week, and I appreciate that. And I'm sure there'll be more questions along the way. We'll address it Audit Finance Committee. Just thanks for the thoroughness and the responsiveness of the team.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams?
Ditto. And also congratulations on the J.D. Power Award. That is phenomenal, as well as the Best Wellness Employee Award, for 2026. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Commissioner Gross?
I just want to go back first to the comment about the Department of Energy Executive Emergency Order. And I appreciate the comments from you folks out there. There was one thing in that letter, the motion to intervene, that just caught me, just surprised me a little bit, and I just thought maybe we could look at that a little bit. Sure. And that was a comment that might just not have any context at all, and it was a sentence that said that OUC is running Stanton 1 even more than before. Number one, I don't know how they'd know. Yep. But number two, I just wondered about that and if there's context that we should all understand about that. So just wrapping that one up. For the meeting, great meeting. J.D. Power, terrific, amazing. Terry, I don't know if Terry's still here, but it was fantastic intro today. Really appreciated that. And then the only thing I'm sorry about today is that we didn't have the excavator vacuum truck in here for a demonstration. That was really, I need to go Google how that works, but that was really cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Dyer?
Thank you for the very succinct budget presentation.
Yeah, it was.
And congratulations on the J.D. Power, the employee wellness, the community outreach. The city has likewise been going through all of our hurricane preparedness, readiness. And one thing that I think is very important that you guys have become really good at is being able to give our customers an estimate of when their power is likely to come back on, if it's going to be out for some period of days, because you make decisions based on if it's going to be out a day, that's one thing. If it's going to be out a week, that's a whole nother thing. So I know that we got in that business and we're doing it a lot better than some other utilities. So I just want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
Make sure we continue to upgrade that.
Yes, we hear you loud and clear. Thank you.
I will concur with all of that. I would just add that is absolutely with great pride to be a part of this commission, especially not only our employees, their tenure, what they do in the community, our wellness. The JD, of course, is out of the ballpark completely. But just the feeling of this is an extraordinary team effort, but at excellence level, not just all in. I mean, we're rowing, and I appreciate that. So with that, it is now 3:45, and I will call the meeting to adjourn.